Welcome everybody to today's webinar. It's about AI-powered inspections at scale, how Cablex modernized quality assurance with ServiceNow. This webinar is brought to you by Platformation and ServiceNow, and we're also very happy to have Mark, the Chief Digital Officer of Cablex, today with us, who will tell you everything about this ServiceNow solution we've built. Today's speakers, that's me, I'm Tim. I'm at Platformation for 6 years, and I'm leading our global app engine and creator capability. Robert, next. Up to you, please.
Hello, everybody. My name is Robert Czempas. I'm Director of Sales responsible for App Engine and Creator and a counterpart of team for all of the commercial aspects globally of Platformation. Passing the mic to Mark.
My name is Mark van Heiningen. I'm Chief Digital Officer at Cablex, and soon you'll get to know a little bit more about our company.
And I'll be next. I'm Michael. I'm from ServiceNow Switzerland. I'm responsible here for our local platform, so for App Engine. Very happy to be here. Very happy to see our partner showing what they implemented at our great customer Cablex. So it's really great to see Platformation being able to implement a really very nice use case. And I'll hand over to Tuan.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Tuan. I'm the principal architect responsible for application development, solutioning, and quality assurance in Platformation.
All right, and then I will hand it to Robert before we jump right into the solution, actually, to tell you a little bit about Platformation.
Platformation founded back in 2013. Right now, counting after the latest acquisition, counting almost 700 people present in 13 countries across the globe, delivered over 1,000 projects globally. And right now, proudly called #1 ServiceNow pure player in Europe, and I would even say in EMEA region right now. We have expertise in all of the 11 domains of the ServiceNow platform. Looking at our presence globally, we have our main offices, main countries on which we focus on delivering and selling ServiceNow solution, and we also have our delivery centers with our main headquarters in Netherlands, Belgium, Switzerland, Germany, Sweden, Saudi Arabia, and in United Arab Emirates and in US, and also our great delivery centers in Poland, Greece, Egypt, and India. Companies constantly growing, adding new solutions on top of the line. As you can see, we're proud to be the largest independent ServiceNow pure player worldwide, holding elite partner status and backed by Kinsight Capital and ServiceNow Ventures. Our track record speaks for itself with a strong 4.5 customer satisfaction score, 9 validated product line achievements, 6 major global and EMEA awards, and nearly 1,000 product certification. In short, we bring unmatched experience, scale, and proven delivery to every engagement we tackle together with our partners and clients. Just to wrap up on the history line, because building applications on ServiceNow is in our DNA since the very beginning, and we are proud to name it this way. Back in 2014, Platformation created an application, Rooms for You, which 6 years later was renamed and rebranded and acquired by ServiceNow and changed into Workplace Service Delivery, which is also very important. We create solutions on the platform, basically, that later on are well adapted to all of the global audience and all of the clients across the globe. At Platformation, the same history happened with 4Industry back since 2018 with our great reference customers like Danone, Kraft Heinz, JD, or Heineken. 5 years later, exactly the same situation happens. Our daughter company 4Industry was acquired by ServiceNow, and right now a dedicated solution, Connected Worker, is getting rebranded and recreated for ServiceNow clients worldwide, and it will be done by the end of 2025.
Yeah, thanks, Robert. Mark, again, thank you very much for joining the webinar today. I prepared a few questions for you, and I would like to dive right in and first start talking about basically the challenge you were facing at Cablex when you decided to build a solution on the ServiceNow platform. Just to set the stage, what does Cablex actually do, and what's your overall journey with ServiceNow like so far?
Okay. Well, thank you for being here. I'm excited to talk about our collaboration with Platformation and ServiceNow. What we do is what I like to call a technical construction company. So we build technical infrastructure. So when you look around in where we live, everything that's red Those are the type of services that we build, that we construct, that we engineer, and also that we maintain in maintenance services. And I'll go a little bit further into detail, but before I do that, let me explain a little bit about the context. We are a Switzerland-based company who is a subsidiary of Swisscom. Swisscom is the incumbent telco operator in Switzerland, and we are the main construction company building network for Swisscom. Besides Swisscom being our most important and biggest customer, we also do work for other customers, such as government, the Swiss railway systems, but also other telco systems. At the same time, we are not the only construction company working for Swisscom, so we have a multilateral agreement that we work for other customers to become more efficient, and at the same time, Swisscom picks other construction company for dedicated and specific activities. But we are the major and most important construction company within Switzerland. What does that mean? If we look at telco and IT, that's by far our biggest part. We are about 3,500 employees, and most of our employees are fixedly employed, and we have about 1,000 employees that work on a partner base. And most of those employees are out in the field building telco infrastructure. So what we see here is telco wireline in the ground that are being more and more replaced now, copper to fiber. But we also do mobile sites where we do the upgrades in Switzerland everywhere from 4G to 5G, where a lot of new mobile sites needs to be built and constructed. But we also do in-house connectivity, so wireline and wireless in-house connectivity that we construct. And not only do we build it, we also do the services for it. So if something breaks down, be that because a digger truck rips open a cable where a larger area is concerned, or if something goes wrong inside a house, we have a large service organization that maintains and repairs those type of services. Besides our major and most important fields, we also do technical construction in transportation. If you look onto highway or trains, they are full of technology. So everything that we see here on this slide is work we do. Safety in railway and transportation. Switzerland has a lot of tunnels, railway tunnels, and all the communication and electricity installations within these tunnels is something that we do. But also electrical installations, for example, in train stations or in public areas, including surveillance, ticketing machines, but also in highways, on the streets, for example, in signaling. Last but not least, an area that is developing significantly is what we call smart energy. This is where our expertise from telcos comes in. So we build photovoltaic systems, mainly for larger buildings, for quarters, where we do the whole connectivity. So the whole energy and load management of those buildings. We build charging stations, more and more also smart construction, so smart house installations that we do for our customers. So that's the three fields of business that we do. And when we look at our company, then we are divided in different business units, and those different business units address these different fields of services that we deliver to our customers.
Yeah, thanks a lot for giving us some insights in what Cablex does with all these different services and implementations of telecommunication infrastructure. I can only imagine how important quality assurance is for the company. If I understand correctly, before this project we did with you together, you were actually using a variety of apps for this and other processes for the quality assurance. What challenges that you make the decision to actually consolidate them on the ServiceNow platform and build a solution over there?
We were very separated from the way we did quality assurance within these different business units. So basically, every business unit had a little bit their own way of tracking and checking quality. So every business unit had their own checklists. Some were within an app, others were throughout other processes. This is something we wanted to consolidate so that we have a unified way of working. Specifically, when we transfer people working in one business unit and helping out in another one, for example, people with electricity capabilities often work in two sections, then it's helpful to have a unified way of working. So that was one of our biggest challenges that we're doing. And then a development came where AI all of a sudden started to make it possible to evaluate pictures and images, and we could apply that to our quality assurance processes. So while we were on one hand trying to unify our apps and our processes, we had the development of AI coming more and more to a maturity that we would be able to in the quality assurance process. And those two developments made it possible for us to develop this new app.
All right, very good. Yeah, so this is a nice bridge to actually talk a little bit more about the solution itself and to understand how you are actually also using the ServiceNow platform and artificial intelligence for your quality assurance. So maybe for the ones who haven't seen it yet, can you walk us through what the AI-powered application actually does and how it fits into your operations at Cablex?
The capability, AI capability that we are using is a capability that actually Swisscom, our mother company, brought to the table. They are collaborating with a company called Diplomatic that is capable of being trained on telco installations and identify installation that we have done wrong or right. So those AI functionality, we see it here in a little bit of a schematic approach, can identify whether a fiber installation has some errors or some potential faults or has been done correctly. But of course, it needs to be trained up front. So you need about 10,000 different pictures before it kind of runs smoothly. So the whole process, before you even can apply and use those AI functionality, already starts by collecting those pictures. So the whole process for us starts already at the beginning where we have the goal and the target to use AI in quality assurance by adding the capability to take pictures in the quality process in order to train the system. And then at a certain point in time, when we see that it's capable of giving the right answers, then switch to a feedback loop. It's, in a way, you can think of it as a measuring device. So our people do an installation, and then they use our app that we've developed together with AI to do a measurement whether the cabling has been labeled correctly, whether there's kinks in the glass lines, whether the process has been done correctly. So this is what the application does. And I think we will see it a little bit more in detail down the road.
Absolutely, yeah. We actually are getting very close to the live demo now. Before we hand it over to Tuan for a live demo, I have one more question for you, Mark, and that would be when you look at the finished solutions, like how do the people in the field use the solution, and which value does it add for them and also your organization?
Often with quality was a journey for us, to be honest. And what we experienced at the very beginning of the process, is that our technical experts were at times reluctant to have a machine giving them advice whether their installation was done right. So we had to, at the very beginning, make sure that they would be able to override the findings of the AI, and we had to include that into our application. So whenever, for example, AI would identify a potential issue with the installation and our expert looked at it, we're able to say, no, this is actually done correctly, that they were able to, what we call, override it and then train the system on those installations. So that was a challenge that took a little bit of time until the people were really using it. The other thing is, often quality assurance takes time, and most people would rather not do it because they say, well, I'm an expert and this is all good and well. However, we need quality assurance to prove to our customer that we've done it correctly, but also to prevent that we need to come back to the location when we find out that the installation has not been correctly. So we were able to now steadily increase the use of the application, and we now have a very high first-time right rate of over 80%, where all the installations are being done and tested and approved right on the field. So that's quite an achievement.
Thanks, Mark. That sounds very promising. I also have a couple of more questions after the demo to talk about the actual business impact and the value the app adds for you. But before we do that, I would say let's show the people in the webinar today a live demo of it. So I'm handing it over to Tuan actually for a live demo.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Mark. That was a perfect introduction to the live solution now. So to continue the story that Mark has told everyone, I will start to get everyone a little bit understand about the solution that we built, and we jump into the ServiceNow instance of the app. As you can imagine, the solution itself is rather big. It contains a lot of different small modules and components because we talk about different business unit, different persona, in this case, a few agents, the technician, the override function of construction managers, and even an expert. So this is a high-level design. On the top side, you see the ServiceNow ecosystem. You have different persona where they interact with ServiceNow from their mobile devices. For configurator, it's via the out-of-the-box workspace or form and list. And for few agents who's working on the field or up in the mountain somewhere, because our custom page. The data are normally coming from Cablex data warehouse, which connect directly to SAP, SharePoint, different system. The AI platform, as Mark mentions, is a diplomatic AI platform. All of the data, when it's relevant, the QAs and the AI analysis is done together with diplomatic using the metadata and all the data stored within the app itself. These are the very simple structures that you can imagine. At any given times, there will be a projects where the technicians can go to work on. Whether it is install a cable for a new apartment building or new charging stations, changing the fiber class, you name it. So the data from all of the projects, these are the hierarchy of the project itself. So a project, it contains different kind of checklists, depends on the business unit, depend on the project, the technologies, they will have different kind of checks. And different checklists, it will contain different checkpoints. The checkpoint have two types. It is the configure checkpoint, or it can be an AI-generated checkpoint. As you can see, the data from the projects is coming out of SAP and data warehouse. On the level of the checklist, when the project's coming into ServiceNow, the system, it will be transformed. It will be pre-works, configurators, or the staff member can prepare, depend on the technologies, the business unit, the providers, or the materials, what kind of checklist is supposed to happen, whether it's using AI or are they a standard checklist. That's on this level. The design of the app give full flexibilities on all of those options. Then it comes to the checkpoint. These are pre-configured and AI generated. This is what Mark mentioned. These guys are done and work on by the technician, later on by construction manager when they do the external review, or even an expert who can actually come and change if data is wrong. I will skip all of the part where the data is coming in. I will step in the first persona, which is the configurator of the app. This is a business unit, a specific configuration. So imagine right now in Cablex, they're onboarding 4 different business units. A persona from one business unit can come in and say, for my kind of project, these are the configuration that I want. So this is, as you already familiar, this is the backend form from ServiceNow. I'm logging as a configurator, just a test account. These are all of the different business unit, different project configuration that I have prepared for business unit WCO. So you can see here the way that it match. These are the different technologies, the different project type for this business unit. If any project coming from data warehouse has this kind of matching setup, it will have this much of checklists. These are different checklists. Each one of these checklists, for example, these are the standard one, pre-configured per business unit. It will have different lists of checkpoints. This will be rendered for the technician to use, or it's AI generated. If you see, it doesn't have any checkpoint config, but AI will generate what's supposed to be done. I'm switching to a technician profile. A technician going to the field, you already know what kind of project he's working on, is simply open on his iPad or iPhone, the applications, the QS app. Now we have a different layout depending on the device that is rendered. Everything is fully responsive. He can open it. These are his recent projects relevant for his business unit that he works on. I'm just clicking on one. These are different. So these are, you can see here, the different checklists. with the pre-configured question that were decided by the configurator of that business unit. So this is one of them. Now I'm going to take a complete new project that I had prepared. So I'm going to open one of the project which is completely new. The state of the project is ready for initialization. There's a long story behind all of the project lifecycle here, but we're not going to go into detail. So I'm going to open this one. As a technician, so there's a backend. He normally open it via this portal. So this is just a quick way that I open it from the backend, just to make sure that I get. So for the first time it's coming in, so project has already been initialized. So we simply ignore that because I have prepared certain data. Now, if I open any of the checklists, I can work on and fill in all of the question here. Now I'm going to focus on the AI functionality. So I'm going back here, open a diplomatic checklist. Data are being synced and fetching from. So as you can see, these are AI-generated checklists where a lot of metadata are being prepared and stored as metadata from switch from side and linked to diplomatic platform. The AI will give back, okay, based on the technologies, the type, these technologies, and the projects, the kind of cable and the identifier. These are different checkpoints that you have to do. So now the technician knows that, okay, because of this, I know exactly what kind of checkpoint are there, and these are the open fund photo, which I have to take a pictures and I fill it in. There's a lot of data conformity layers that's going on with the app. So for the demo purposes, we'll loosen this a little bit. So I'm gonna take an existing Cablex preparation in-house pic. I'm gonna do the backfront open pictures that I have prepared. So as I upload the pictures, the AI is gonna perform the analysis. Like I mentioned, there's a duplicated pictures, so it asks for a new photo. So there's a own kind of prevention to avoid cheating or taking the wrong kind of picture, whether it's blurry or not. And then he's uploaded it. The AIs perform a simple analysis. So there is not okay here. So in case that I disagree with it, I can override it and I say, nah, this looks good. Then the AI later on can use that to learn, or then when something like that happens, a second persona coming in, and the third persona coming in, the construction manager is going to review it. Now I'm going to give another example, a drop cable labeling. So I'm just going to do drop cable. So again, the AI is analyzed the photos, fetch out the data when necessary, and inform the technician what needs to be improved. So for example, label recognition, drop cable, as you can see here, I have taken a pictures with this one. AI is going to analyze it, prepare, and do all sort of different analysis. They also use this as the data to learn and to improve in the futures together with Swisscom infrastructures. Now, this is a very simple flow, gives you an idea of how a technician is working when he's at the field using his iPad and multiple persona behind different business unit, different technologies that works together in one complete solution to save times and improve qualities assurance for the entire company. So looking at the time, that concludes my my simple, very quick demo on the solution.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Tuan, for this live demo. Before Mark and I will dive a little bit more into the actual results and business impact of the quality app, which we just saw, I will talk a little bit about basically behind the scenes, how we built this app and how Platformation approaches application modernization in general. What we see with a lot of clients is that outdated applications are very expensive and are not really and basically hinder innovation. So a lot of money for a lot of organizations, up to 80% goes of IT budgets goes into actually maintaining outdated solutions. Over 300 billion actually is spent globally every year on maintaining legacy apps. And of course, these solutions also pretty often result in security risks because they are outdated and are not following the latest security standards. And it's not possible, especially now that AI is really important in the business, to be added to kind of most of the solutions existing. If there's an outdated solution, it's not possible to add AI or other innovations very easily to these kind of solutions. And it also results in basically really bad user experiences and unhappy users. So low-code platforms like ServiceNow can, of course, help to modernize these solutions. With a low-code platform, we can very easily, in the case of ServiceNow with App Engine, build very tailored business applications and really bring the platform into all parts of the business. We are able to build very flexible solutions which can easily be adapted to the needs of the business, and always built with the idea of extensibility and integratability. Right, so it's very easy to integrate tailored solutions on the ServiceNow platform with standard workflows in the IT and customer service workflows, but also with external platforms, similar what we also did here with the app we just showed you, which also has different integrations and enables. And we're also able, with building solutions on ServiceNow, to really build great user experiences, because we can reuse all the existing components and all the existing UI components on the platform to build the solution working together with these, for example, the Employee Service Center or the ServiceNow mobile app. We can all use these user interfaces and components to build the applications. So what we do when a customer comes to us and says, oh, we have different solutions which are already being used for 10, 15, 20 years and haven't been really updated since many years, and they are built on other platforms. Examples could be Lotus Notes, Salesforce, like Power Apps, Pilgrim, Mendix, or OutSystems, or other platforms. What we then do is we assess these solutions and we look into how these can be modernized with the ServiceNow platform. And of course, it could be that the existing technology, employee, customer, or finance and supply chain workflows on the ServiceNow platform can replace these existing these existing solutions on the other platforms. Or if this is not possible, we build something very tailored with the creator workflows, with App Engine, or very specific to the needs and to the requirements of the business application. And of course, also with these solutions we build with Creator and App Engine, we can use all the existing integrations with external systems already, CRM systems, ERP, supply chain, and so on. But we can also, of course, access all the existing master data on the platform, all the data of employees, which is already in the platform, maybe customer data, assets, maybe. It all can be accessed with the application we are building on the platform. So that makes ServiceNow a great platform to actually modernize existing legacy applications, which are there for a long time. How we approach that is in a phased approach where we go into a discovery assessment phase. We together with the client look at, okay, which applications need modernization. And then we define the business criticality and define a gap analysis, because we just don't want to, let's say, replace the app on a new platform. We want to improve it. We want to put AI into it if it makes sense. We want to just bring it to the next level and not just replace it, basically. So then the outcome of such a discovery and assessment phase is a defined application modernization roadmap. Then we come up with the strategy and the planning. We define the migration strategy for the different apps in scope. And then when it comes to development and migration, we establish an application modernization factory where we basically take one app after the other and modernize it in an app factory approach, really based on the strategy we defined and the application modernization pipeline we defined together, right? And then when it comes to deployment and go live, we always take a phased approach. That's also how we did it in the application we actually presented to you today. We brought live a minimal viable product, And then we added functionality and features in second, third, and fourth releases, and we rolled it out to different business units over time, right? And then last but not least, we also have a continuous optimization phase where we initiate a feedback loop, looking at how can we further improve the applications we modernize, but also improve together our strategy for application modernization, basically with the client together. To basically help you get started, we also have different workshops, like the modernization workshop, to define a roadmap on which solutions can be modernized and to give you some inspiration. We also do hackathons, application modernization hackathons, with the goal to build a proof of concept in a short amount of time, within 2 weeks usually. And then last but not least, we have the full-blown, let's say, application modernization project, where we help you to modernize existing legacy tools for a MVP on the ServiceNow platform. Mark, I have a few more questions to you to just talk about the results and the business impact of the solution we implemented with you, right? So first of all, and now that the app has been live for a while, what are the most tangible improvements you've seen in day-to-day operations?
I think the most tangible improvement is the way we work. Since quality is a measured element of our work, and we always had to make sure that when out in the field installations were made, the supervisor out on the field would double check. So we always had 4 eyes looking at the results. And then, since our customer needed to make sure that the quality of our work was indeed given, they needed to do a certain form of acceptance testing, where they were coming out in the field and physically double checking whether the installation had been done correctly. Or another measurement, of course, would be, but that was very undesirable, that we would measure, okay, how often do the installations run into faults and customer complaints? So that's definitely something we try to avoid at all times, so that even in case of faulty installations, it was not the customer, but we recognize it ourselves. Now, with this new system, we were able to basically have a 2-eye process, and the fourth and the sixth pair of eyes were delivered by the AI. So that accelerated the process significantly and made it a lot cheaper also. So not only for us, but also for our customer, Swisscom.
All right, thanks a lot. That gives some good insights. I would be curious, let's say, can you maybe share one example or like a story where the new solution directly helped your team to solve a problem faster or to serve a specific customer better? Do you have any examples there maybe?
Yeah, that goes back to what I said initially. And since we have very different business units with different lines of businesses, we have wireline construction, but also wireless constructions. The quality requirements and the processes are radically different. So if you have to build a mobile antenna on roof of a building, or if you connect a building through glass fiber, the processes, the actual activities are really different. But we were able to use the app. We had built it and designed it in a way that we were able to apply the same capabilities that we used to customize it for wireline construction, also for wireless construction. So we were able to onboard wireless in a quality process within a very short amount of time, and they were using the same app, even though the checklists and the processes would be very individual to their type of business.
All right, so you can now basically roll out the solution more quickly and more flexible to more business units within your organization.
Absolutely, and that's our aim. So we really want to have a unified way of working, all using the same app with different processes, but the same app in the same way for every form of construction work we do. Yeah.
Yeah, here on the screen we also see a few numbers, a few stats around the solution. So, but if you maybe in your words, if you had to quantify the impact in terms of efficiency, quality, maybe customer satisfaction, what numbers or outcomes stand out for you really?
Well, one number I already mentioned, right? We have over 80% of all the installations are really done correctly, don't need any touching anymore further than what. And the reason why we're not at 100% are sometimes indeed due to technical reasons. So there's good reasons why it doesn't work. And the human factor still happens that one or the other quality check is deemed correct where it, as a matter of fact, isn't. So while we're aiming at 100%, it's a difficult task. So, but 80% done right in the first installation is quite a step forward. The other thing is, we started working with this app at the beginning of the year, and we already have about 65,000 checks, quality QA checks done with Diplomatic. So that's quite a significant number. And if you complement that with the non-AI based checks, then we are far over 100,000 checks already within 3/4 of a year.
That are some very impressive numbers. I can imagine that AI plays a really important role there in your quality checks with these number of checks you are conducting within your quality assurance. So yeah, it's good to have the AI part of this. Maybe just one more question to round this part off, and then we can go over into the live Q&A. But just as a last question to round off, so from your lens, from your own leadership lens, basically, how has this project influenced Cablex broader digital transformation journey?
Yeah, and that goes also to the unified way of working. So in the quality assurance process, now we were able to unify the way we work in the quality process, in the quality checking process. But of course, quality comes more or less at the end of the process. So what we also are working on, how can we use our applications to seamlessly integrate each other to already support our people out in the field at the very beginning of the process, and that with a unified experience. So while the different apps might be needed for the different activities, we want them to seamlessly integrate in one experience, very similar to like you use your Apple apps, where, for example, in your telephone app, you use your address book to look up a telephone number to call somebody. And that's exactly the vision we have. So using the quality app, and by now we have developed the second ServiceNow app for the acquisition process. They now work hand in hand really well together to give that experience, that unified experience to the people out in the field.
All right, thank you very much, Mark. Let's jump right into the actual live Q&A, and for that, I think I'm handing it over to Robert, who kept an eye on the Q&A functionality.
Yes, correct. One of the questions basically that popped in on the chat, it was, how do you approach complex projects like this to ensure that you meet the requirements of the customer?
Maybe I can pick that up, and then if maybe also Tuan has to add some or wants to add some more on the technical side of the things, which technical challenges we had in this project, please feel free to jump in. But yeah, basically, as Mark and I also said earlier, that basically when we built this solution, we also intended to roll it out to different business units, which now has happened already to 4 business units. And basically one challenge there was to design the solution in a way that it leaves enough room on flexibility, enough room for configuration to basically tailor it to the needs of the different business units, right? So to kind of standardize the way of working, but also leave enough room to for the different way of working of the different business units. And how we at Platformation approach these kind of projects is really in a very agile way, where we do design thinking workshops in the beginning with the client, where we bring all different key stakeholders on and hear them all out on what is important for them. And then basically we start working on an MVP in a very agile way, where every 2 weeks we're actually able to demo the current status or the current status of the implementation to the customer, which allows us to gather feedback very quickly and reiterate if needed. Yeah, that's maybe from my standpoint. Do you want to add anything from the more technical side?
Yes. Pretty spot on there. When we additional to team answer, when we look at the complex requirements, of course, we do all of our due diligence on working closely with the customer, look at their visions, their current landscape, analyze the current situation, the way of working, because there's a lot of things involved, not just technical impact. And then we deep dive into the technical impact where we come up with a brief solutioning. We discuss with the customer architects and solution architect. We look at the solution in own front, the dependencies, the technology stacks. We have to comply with ServiceNow best practices, the roadmap ServiceNow might have, we might have, and also the customer technical or the platform owner might have. Right, so we align all of that. We design it. We have to put on the pros and cons for certain solutioning choices that we're making. So that's how we normally break it down and try to solve a complex solution like this.
Perfect. And the second question we got from the audience, what were the biggest challenges in this project and how did you solve them?
Of course, all sorts of challenges. Change management is always a challenge with those projects, because you change significantly the way people work, and that's not always easy. And when you develop such an app, you don't come with all the capabilities and all the functionalities at once. So while the people out in the field then get the new app, they are also being made aware that a future version, so a second and a third with more functionality are coming. And that's where you experience resistance. People in the construction industry are not used to work in iterations and used to work with MVPs. They very much are used to delivering a house, a building, a construction site all at once in a waterfall process. And when you're finished, all the features and capabilities are there. In IT, it doesn't work that way. So there was and still is a challenge that we're facing. How do we onboard our maybe less IT savvy internal customers than that you would have otherwise in a bank or in an insurance company who are more used to that type of process? So that was one of the challenges we had. However, we were able to deliver a very stable app very upfront, so we didn't experience any resistance from that perspective, that we had a lot of outages, that they were not able to work and so on. That definitely helped, because our people are under strong pressure to deliver, and if we have an app where 1,000 people are working on, it doesn't work, everything stands still because they cannot continue. That's the other side of the medal. When you work like this, you can only continue after you've done your quality check, and then you can move on. And if the app then is not available, then of course the whole factory stands still. But that we hardly had. We didn't have any issues there.
Yeah. To add to the answers, one of the biggest challenge from a technical standpoint when we design it is that, as the nature of ServiceNow application development, there are capabilities that enable us to develop very fast, but of course, at the same time, there are limitations, right? And the expectation from the different business units are very high. Sometimes they can be contradicting, and we have the timeline, we have technical challenges that we have to go through, and we have to put it all together to find the best solution that we can develop an app with high scalabilities that we can literally onboard any business unit, and we have an unified way of working. It has to be maintainable. Like I said, like Mark said, we can't have an app that doesn't work. Thousands of people would start, right? And then we have to have an user-friendliness way of working. You look at a very, very different persona, the way that they interact with an app from different standpoint are very different, and we have to take that into account. Then one more thing is that when I demo the app, the flow look quite simple, but behind the scenes, it's very, very complex. It gets to the point where the checkpoint got at, or when someone uploaded a photo, there are a lot of quality control based on the answer that they have to give, and then the life cycle of a single checkpoint when impact also the checklist, the projects, and then the synchronization with SAP with different metadata coming in. And when a certain checkpoint got corrected by a construction manager because something is wrong, the entire life cycle had to follow a certain direction and had to be able to correct itself in the long run. And so those are a lot of technical difficulties that we have to put next to each other. The dependencies on the platform, on the cool technology and capabilities that we can roll out timely, and the different requirement coming from different business interests and the technologies. So those are a lot of those are the biggest challenges that we faced.
What would you do differently if you would do this project again? Basically, how would you approach some of its parts differently? I believe that's the intention of the person who is asking the question.
It's a good question. You, of course, always learn a lot when developing, and there's always things that you would do differently. Let me pick up on one thing that Tuan said. Very often, while it appeared to be a simple process, just following checklists that you needed to fill in, either with taking a picture, having it checked by AI, or filling in the data yourself. Behind the scenes, there was quite a bit of complexity, and I would put more emphasis up in the beginning to design that better. We started with our checklist that was already in place in the way we worked up front, and I would put more emphasis, more time in rethinking how can we do it actually better than just following a checklist. Because when you look at the app today, it is very sophisticated, but in the end, it's still a checklist. And I think I would make that more user-friendly. That would require more time at the beginning, but then I think down the road, it would be easier to build and would maybe also be more user-friendly in the way it appears. It's a very technical app. When you're used to work with it, it's easy to find your way, but it's not a beautiful app. Right? It's not something that you win a beauty prize with. I think this is where I would put a little bit more brains and more time in.
Yeah, quite taken. Definitely, we can improve on that aspect, and we heard those feedbacks as well. So the user friendliness, the usability is one thing, but the attractiveness, the colorings, how is it when it's under the sun? How does it look? To make it easy, yeah, we can definitely improve on those aspects. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mark and Tuan, for the further responses. And I believe you're wrapping up our Q&A.
Thank you all for putting in these questions, and Tuan and Mark indeed for answering them. Just to summarize a little bit, so ServiceNow is a great platform, and especially App Engine and Creator, to modernize legacy apps. We have seen one real world scenario, one real world success today, how we modernized a solution at Cablex, which was built on Power Apps and is now on ServiceNow. ServiceNow gives the right tools to scale these solutions and to also have the right governance in place. And of course, ServiceNow and Platformation are very happy to support you on your innovation and modernization journey. So if you have any questions about this journey, if you need our support, please reach out. As we presented earlier, we have the possibilities of organizing an on-site or online inspiration session with your team, or we can co-create a solution in a dedicated hackathon if that's something you're interested in. Please reach out. And we want to thank you all for attending today's webinar, and I wish you all a good rest of your day. Thank you.